Okay, so what I'd like to show you with this video is how to graft the brioche stitch for the askew cowl. And what I've done is I've made a mini cowl with 20 stitches, and I've just completed my last row 6 at the very top, and the right side is facing, and so you see those purl bumps on that side, and on the bottom I have my provisional cast on. So what I'd like to do first, just to make things a little bit easier in case I get confused, I'm going to place stitch markers, one at the top on the right side and one at the bottom on the right side, so I can tell later when I take the cast on off, the provisional cast on off, and I have these stitches, I don't get as confused as to where I'm at. The first step would be to take these live stitches and run a lifeline through those stitches. You want to keep them on the needle, but just protect them in case you make any mistakes in grafting, so that you can go back to your lifeline and pick those stitches back up the way they were. So I used one color for my live stitches, black, and I'm going to use a second color for my provisional stitches. So I'll go down here to my provisional cast on, and I'll pull this out, and as I do I will pick up those stitches onto a separate needle. I'm going to go ahead and count these stitches now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. So I have one less from the provisional edge as I did the 20 at the top, my live stitches. So now I'm going to take the yarn I just used for the provisional cast on as waste yarn for another lifeline at the bottom. Okay, so now we have everything set up and ready for grafting. We have our live stitches at the top with a lifeline running through them, and then we have our provisional stitches at the bottom with a second color of lifeline running through them, just to keep track of what's what. And the bottom has one less stitch than the live stitches at the top. So in this example I have 20 live stitches at the top and 19 live stitches at the bottom. So what we're going to do is take the live stitches as the front needle, holding it in our left hand, and then wrap the bottom needle around so that the right sides are on the outside as the rear needle. And so what this will do when we're grafting is just put those two pieces together as if they were a continuous piece of the cowl. So the live stitches, front needle, and the bottom stitches or the provisional cast on stitches as the back rear needle. So hold them together as you would for normal grafting, and then what I like to do is just to get rid of all of this junk, all of these loose ends, I've sandwiched that in between so that they don't get in the way. Okay, so now we're ready to start grafting the first garter rib stitches. And how we'll do that is, first there's two setup steps. One for the front needle, that would be pull yarn through purlwise and leave that stitch on the front needle, and then pull yarn through the rear needle purlwise and pull that yarn through, leave the stitch on. So now we start doing the garter stitches, and that will be knit, slip off, purl, leave on, knit on the rear, slip off, purl, leave on. And we'll do that twice, once and twice for each needle. So here, the front, pull yarn through knitwise, pull off, purlwise, leave on, knitwise, pull off, purlwise, leave on. And again, second repeat, knitwise, pull off, purlwise, leave on, looks like I got my yarn around there, knitwise, pull off, purlwise, leave on. So now we have two steps that are kind of in preparation for the brioche. And what they are is on the front needle, slip it through knitwise, off. Then the second stitch you're going to go through purlwise, but pick up that purl bump to create the brioche effect as you're going. So here it's pull yarn through knitwise, off, purlwise, and then pick up that bump and leave it on. The rear needle is a purlwise, slip off, knitwise, leave on. So those were the two preparation steps for the brioche. Now we're getting into brioche repeats, and we'll repeat this until there are 3 stitches left on the needle. So go ahead and start the repeat, which is on the front needle you knit with the bump, slip it off, and then knit the second one without the bump and leave on. So knit, knit, and then on the back you'll do a knit purl. So knit with the bump and then knit the second one and leave it on. And then knit, off, purl. So on the front, step 3 would be purl, off, purl with the bump, and the rear needle is purl, off, knit. So now we're back to step 1 again. It would be knit with the bump, slip it off, knit, second step is knit, off, purl. Then purl, purl with the bump, purl, off, and then knit. So step 1 again, knit, knit, oops, I lost my yarn, knit, 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 purl. Purl, off, purl with the bump, purl, off, knit. Now we have just 3 stitches left. So we're going to go back to the garter and do knit through the back, off, purl, knit, front, purl, knit, off, purl, knit, off, purl, and then knit the back and knit the front and pull it through. So this is what we'll end up with. And you can see the lifeline still through there, so I'll pull that out. Oops, it got tangled. So pull the lifeline out. Now I just have to adjust it a little bit to make it the tension right. If you didn't pull it too tight and if you didn't have it too loose, then you'll end up with a continuous look throughout where the graft is. So the graft is here. You can slightly tell where it is because these have V's and here there are no V's. But yet the ribs go directly over to the provisional beginning edge. So that's how you graft the cowl.